Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of CookieCast. Today in CookieCast, it's the darkest timeline. So, weirdly, no movies, but some TV. How strange. How weird. There's also sporty type things this week, which sounds weird coming out of my mouth. Phone notifications, like I say, TV, computer games of various different kinds, and everything in between. Before we start, please do consider like, share, subscribe and comment. Leave a review where you can leave a review. Reviews are very important. They help other people know whether it's a podcast they should bother with. And I appreciate it. Leave a review. Right, let's start. Here we go. This is CookieCast, the darkest timeline. Hello, how you doing? Ooh, touch gravelly there. I always wonder if I should do like warm-up exercises before starting. It'll be like, I don't know, what would it be like? Talking to myself? Oh, wait. Not a massive amount to go through this week. Possibly the single most surprising thing is the thing that I normally would say, I didn't do that this week. I did. And the thing that I often do, I didn't. So something TV based, but no movies. So, you know. Strange things started happening on my phone. Yep, that's how we're starting. Strange things started happening on my phone. Once a day, about the same time every day, my phone would get a notification from a well-known online shopping company, shall we say? And the notification was like, hey, you should open your basket. Like, why? It was like, just saying. So I'm like, okay, well, you know, maybe there's a problem. Maybe it's like a fraud sort of warning or something like that. It seems weird. So I press on it and it takes me to my basket. And it's like, oh, there's messages for you in your basket. I'm like, okay, well, that's nothing new. And you go in and it's like, oh, this item that's been in your basket for 4 years has gone down in price 8 pence. Like, whew, now's probably the time to buy. And then it's like, this item that you put in last week is more expensive now, which probably means you're not going to buy it. I'm like, okay, this is like a daily thing. Why do I need to know this? If I wanted to know this, I would find this out for myself. The first time it happened, I thought it was odd. The second time it happened, I was like, what is this? And then every day after that, I'm like, I don't understand. So, me being me, it didn't take too long before I was like, I don't want this. So, did a long internet search on how to turn it off. But in this sort of process, realised that why should I have to turn something like this off when I didn't turn it on? This is not something I've selected to have as an option. This is not something I want. This is not something I need. This is something that somebody has decided, hey, this will be invasive, annoying, and generally just completely unnecessary for let's say, one of the biggest companies on the face of this earth. Honestly, I truly believe that certain companies should have restrictions put on them. If you are the biggest company in your field, if you have put other companies out of business because of the way you go about doing business, you shouldn't be allowed to do certain things. You shouldn't be allowed to advertise for a start, because adverts for that company are everywhere at the moment. You shouldn't be able to, let's see, what else should... Oh, here's an idea. You shouldn't be able to take money from people and provide them a service, and then decide, although you're paid for that service, that you're then just going to add adverts to that paid service. You shouldn't be able to change the settings on somebody's phone to ram stuff down those people's necks. So, I found the answer, and it was go to here, go to this, go to that. Once you get there, look for the app in question. Go into I think it's like the suggestions. It turns out it's a suggestion. Go into the suggestions and turn them off. I went in and there was like 3 different options of suggestions. I'm like, do I turn them all off? Do I turn one off? Do I turn the one off that I don't want? So in the end, I just turned them all off. And, you know, with a lot of things these days, it's very much like, well, that's super annoying that I had to go through that. You know, very much aware of a first world problem kind of situation. But it was just one of those, you know, didn't want to have to go through it, didn't want to have to look into it, didn't want to have to look it up, and so on. Today, I had a notification on my phone that told me that I should really consider opening up a different app and viewing the suggestions that app had for me. And I was like, what's happening right now? The app in question may or may not be owned by the company from the first set of suggestions. And I was like, so when I went back and looked into it again, what it actually said was, for every app you don't want to receive these suggestions, you have to go into each individual app and turn them off. Now, I want to say it's like an invasion of privacy without being an invasion of privacy. It is making a physical change to your personal device without your permission. Surely there's got to be some sort of legality there. I turn all notifications off. If you're an app and you want to send me notifications, good luck. Because the first thing I tell the app to do is to not track me, because I'm sure that's a thing. Wink, wink. And then, we'd like to send you notifications about this. No, sod off. That is the way I operate with every single app that I ever come in contact with. Unfortunately, every now and then you'll have like I've been bitten before. Middle of the NFL season and a player goes out injured who's in your lineup and you don't know about it until after the game starts. That's a problem and something you should probably have a notification of. Problem you've got is that then you've got 200 notifications going off every day, and only one of them is remotely needed. So there's so much in the world these days that we just accept. I bet there's millions of people out there right now going, "Oh, I get this new notification from this company that suggests I do something." Yeah, just thought I'd bring that up. Went climbing on Saturday. Shocking, I know. Went climbing on Saturday. First thing in the morning, I did a run. Not as far as the week before. Oh, excuse me, I am tired. Did a run, went into climbed for 90 minutes on and off. Went home, collected my eldest, back to climbing. I'd put my watch on to say that I was climbing, and then 20 minutes later I turned it off because I was like, that's a lie. I'm not climbing. I'm just wandering around. So that was kind of that. And a little while later, Ed was like, "I'm done. I'm off." And I was like, I've never really understood the concept of "I'm done." I can climb no more. I'm physically unable to climb anymore. Now, bear in mind, at this point in time, he'd been there for 4 hours, and ultimately, when he is there, he is climbing. Basically. Non-stop is a stretch, but the majority of the time he's there, he's climbing. And I'm like, I've never really... There have been times when I'm like, oh, I climbed like 5 times in 5 days. Ooh, I'm feeling it. When I get up and go Wednesday morning, Thursday morning, by, the time I get to work on a Thursday, my body's aching. But I was a little bit like, I can't say I've really experienced I can no longer climb. I am exhausted. My body can't do it anymore. So Ed left, and my daughter was eating a lunch, and I was like, "I'm going to get a drink while you're eating. Do you want anything?" She was like what? I was like, "Well, you're saying that for a reason, so I'm guessing you want cake." "Oh, it depends what they've got." I was like, right, okay. I was like, ultimately, the best way to find out is to go and have a look. So we went and we looked, and, later in the day, limited options. I honestly thought that she'd be like, either I'll have some flapjack, or, oh, it's all right, I don't want anything. She said what could not have been further from what I expected her to say, which was, "I'll have a piece of the chocolate cake." Like, okay. I was like, "A piece of chocolate cake and a drink, please." Got those. They delivered what was a massive piece of chocolate cake. I was like, that's a lot bigger than I thought it was going to be. And she's like, "That's bigger than I thought it was going to be." I was like, yeah, I agree. So we go through, take a knife, chop it up as much as possible to make it more manageable to the eye. In a lot of scenarios with my children, I realise, that phrase, "the first bite is with the eye." In the way the phrase is meant, it's meant like presentation and, you see it and you're like, "Ugh." With my children, if they see something big, it's like, oh, that's too big, I can't eat that. So if you cut it up small, but it's the same amount, oh, it's a little piece, I can manage that. So using this logic, cut the cake into tiny pieces in comparison. So she's like, right, what we're going to do is I'm going to eat a piece of cake, then I'm going to do a climb, then I'm going to come back and I'm going to eat another piece of cake. I was like, cool. So I'm like, oh, can you do that one there? Oh, I don't know. I think so. Maybe. I might have done it. I don't know if I've done it. Maybe I've done it. I think I tried it. I might have tried it. And when I tried it, I might have done it. I'm like, rather than umming and ahhing and mulling it over, why don't you just go and do it and then you can say you've done it? Oh, yeah, that's a good idea. She went, she does it. She comes down, she's like, there you go. Can you do it? Now, I have to admit something at this point in time. Part of the way I was operating on Saturday with my eldest is she is a good climber, and when she puts her mind to it, she is a very good climber. She is very, very good at doing stuff. Much better than me. The problem is she doesn't realise that. So there are times when I'm like, can you do this? And she's like, yes or no or maybe whatever. And every now and then there'll be something that she can't do. And I'm like, that's interesting because I know I can do it. I'm like, oh, I thought you were going to get that. So her response is always, well, can you do it? So knowing this, on Saturday, I'm looking around the room like, oh, can you do that one there? Yeah, I think so. Go on then. Well, I think I've done it. Well, show me. So she does one and does another one. And then there was a point where she's like, I can't do this one. Really? Why not? Oh, there's two things there that are in the way for me. Right. That's interesting, because I know I can do that one. So I was like, oh, well, why don't you give it a go? So she goes up, gets so far, and comes back down, having not finished it. I was like, oh, I thought you were going to get that. Oh, no, these bits are in the way. I'm like, all right, okay. Can you do it? And I'm like, and just head over, climb up, finish it, come back down. Give her the old finger guns. And that's that. So, later, I'm like, have you done this one? Don't know. I was like, well, just do it. And then it's done, isn't it? So she went up, she came down, she's like, there you go. Can you do it? Now, in the area we were in, I can do them all. So, I'm like, yeah, I can. I go up, I come down, and do it. She goes up, she has a piece of cake, she comes back. I was like, can you do that one? Don't know, maybe. Off you go then. So she goes up, she comes down. Can you do that one? Like, yeah. I go up, climb it, come down. So basically, this is the structure of our climbing session. She climbs it, then I climb it. While I'm climbing it, she eats a bit of cake. She was like, do you want some of this cake? I was like, it's cake, I'll try it. So I had a couple of these like fingers of cake. She's up and down the wall, I'm up and down the wall. But because she's eating cake while I'm climbing up the wall, by the time I get down, she's ready to go again. So I'm like, well, what about this one? Have you done this one? Okay, up she goes. By this point, there's no umming and ahhing. She's just realised that it's, if I say, well, what about this one? It's time to climb. Up she goes, down she goes, then it's my turn. Up I go, down I go, then it's her turn. In the space of about half an hour, we've climbed everything in the area. She's done a really big one that I can't do. And I'm starting to feel like tightness in my forearms and tightness in my shoulders. So she's like, oh, you know those ones you were saying you can't do? Well, I can do those. So why don't I take you and show you how I do them? I was like, yeah, actually, that's a good idea. It gives me another point of view on how to do it. So let's go and have a look. We go down. She does the first one. I attempt the first one and can't. I struggle getting up on the wall. I'm like, I came down. I was like, no, I still can't do that one. I don't know what is wrong with it. I just can't do it. Okay, well, let's go over to this one. Go over to another one. She climbs up it. She gets to the top. She comes down. I walk to the wall. Now, by this point, the realization has kicked in. I walk to the wall. I put my foot on the wall. My foot slips off the wall. I turn around and I went, it's time to go. It's like, it's very late in the day. We have climbed a lot today. I am tired and we need to leave. And I'd gone from, I really don't understand what people mean when they say I can't climb anymore, to I can't climb anymore. I'd climbed for, I think, something like 3 hours on Saturday. I was doing a bit of like in the morning. I had a friend there, and trying to help him overcome a few things. So he'd try something, and then I'd go up it and be like, right, at this point you need to do this, and at this point you need to do that. And I think in hindsight, stuff like that takes that bit more out of you because you're hanging on for a bit longer than you normally would. You're not straight up and down. You get like 2/3 of the way up, and it's like, right, when you were here, you need to put your foot here and your hand here, and you do this and you do that. But yeah, it was exhausting, apparently. Turns out, a bit tiring. We had a big moment in our, I was going to say in our house, but it wasn't in our house, it was in our family. And it was a moment that I had to miss out on. And I'm very sad to have missed out. I get an opportunity to go this week. However, I did miss it, and I'm sad. Sad but happy, if you know what I mean. My son had his first football lesson. And I couldn't go. I couldn't be there because the way it worked, it wasn't going to be possible for. It's not like we could all go, and I didn't want to just say to I didn't want to say to the girls, right, I'm going to go. I'm going to go walk the dog, and when I get back from walking the dog, I'm going to go and take your brother to football for the best part of an hour. So the decision was made that Leanne would take my son and I'd stay at home with the girls. But he's got like a little football kit, and off he went. And anything like this sort of stuff, I'm always like, it reminds me of how I was as a young boy who was absolutely mad on football, obsessed with football. One birthday, the only thing I wanted for my birthday was a full Manchester United kit. Socks, shin pads, shorts, shirt, the works. Now, even at that age, I was fully aware that we were, what's that phrase? Poor. So what I'd do is I'd be like, I want a full kit for my birthday, full kit wanker. But I want the socks and the shin pads. I like the boots. I think the boots as well, and the shorts and the shirt. But I'll settle for just the shorts and the shirt. And even that, I just have the shirt. So I obviously had some sort of comprehension of like monetary things even at that age. And I imagine in 1980, I'm going to say 6, the price of a football shirt will have still been expensive, but children's size, the world's not the way it is now, sort of thing. So I was very much like, I want the full kit and the boots and stuff, but I appreciate we can't afford that, so can I just have a shirt maybe, and maybe some shorts? And as it was, I got all of it. I think my grandparents kind of made it happen, and I got the lot. And just, it's one of those things that sticks with me now. Sticks with me today. It's one of those sort of things that I carry around with me. That one of the few. I don't want to sell it wrong, but one of the few things that I remember as like a big moment. There was a birthday where I wanted binoculars and a camera. And again, it was one of those, I was like, but you know, just one's okay. And I got both, and it was this huge thing. But that was it. Can you imagine if I went to my children now and was like, what do you want for your birthday? And they're like, oh, this and this and this and this and this, which my children don't. So, you know, irony. And I'm like, cool, you can have one of those items. You imagine what that would be like nowadays. I once tested the water. I think it was one Christmas. It was just before we were working up to getting the dog, and I was like, I wonder if I can sell it to the children. Then instead of them having any Christmas presents, they just have one present, but that present will be super cool, i.e. a puppy. And I tried to have that conversation with her. I was like, what about if you just got one present that you all shared? And the silence, the stunned silence. So I was like, okay, well, what about if you got one big present for you to all share, and maybe like a couple of little things each? And apparently that was okay. But anyway, I digress. I was mad on football. I got a football kit. I was one of those kids that had like 6 footballs, and all of them were in different stages of being deflated. And all I wanted to do in my time was play football. All I wanted to do was kick a ball. All I wanted to do was to go to the park and play football and play football in the back garden, and that was me. And then life and health and other things conspired against me. And being asthmatic, being allergic to grass, and a whole host of other things kind of killed football for me. Amongst, I say amongst things, those things being no positive male role models sort of situation. That was the end of football, which is ironic for a man that hosts a football podcast. And when I say host, I mean I don't host it, I host it on the CookieCast network. I am some sort of perpetual guest, I guess. However, big thing, a boys' first football lesson. It was a big thing. Told all the guys on the football podcast. It's like, oh, first football lesson this week. It's a big thing. By all accounts, didn't have any interest in the football, didn't want to kick the football, and wanted picking up for a lot of the time that he was there. So that went about as what you'd expect. Good times. I get to go this Sunday, see what it's like. Leanne said there was a lot of running around, and with the way the heat's ramped up, and a lot of the running around was done by the parents, I'm like, I'm not sure that's maybe for me. Is there a standing around option? Where's the bit where you talk to the other dads about, like, I was going to say DIY or football. I'd be absolutely useless at that. Monday today. It's a little later than last week, I think it was, when I was recording the podcast in the afternoon and loving every minute of it. It is earlier than previous attempts at podcasting in the past. I have made a shift of timings on a Monday, and honestly, I'm loving it. The other thing that happens on a Monday, apart from recording a podcast, is I weigh myself. So, let's play the weigh game. It starts on a Sunday night. You know it's Monday the next day. You know you've got to get up. You know you've got to run. You know you've got to get to work. I hate Monday mornings. I've been through this before. More than standard, I hate Monday, first day back at work thing. I just hate Monday mornings. I've got to take my son and drop him off on a Monday morning. I hate it. I was chuntering a bucket full when I left nursery this morning. Just the whole concept baffles me, but I'll leave that one there. I just don't like Monday mornings, and it's not, the irony is, it's not necessarily about having to get up and go to work. So, you get out of bed, you're like, what do we think the weight's going to be? And you go and run, and you gauge how difficult your run is. Maybe that gives you an idea. Is it easy run? Maybe you're carrying a little bit less weight. What did you eat over the weekend? Oh, now, the weekend was interesting because Saturday, other than a finger and a half of cake, I actually didn't eat anything. So that's interesting. Double-edged sword, obviously, because you've got the fact that, sometimes not eating is not the best idea. Had a big meal Saturday night, so you've got that. Didn't eat all day Sunday, so that's essentially 2 days of not eating. And then Sunday evening, standard tea, job done. So you're like, oh, Sunday weekend wasn't too bad. Calorie count will have been down some. Then you try and cast your mind back to what the week's been like, and you go, can't remember. And if you can't remember, best all round, presume it was bad, go from there. So, I'm like, okay, here's what I think. Here's my guess. My guess is this. I'm going to step on the scales, and the scales are going to say one of two things. One, I'm basically the same weight as I was last Monday. If that's the case, no real surprise there. Kind of the one of the betters that you could hope for. Option number two. Number two is that I've put on a couple of pounds, felt like possibly likely. Reason there is that I worked on the principle that I couldn't remember what my week had been like. And like I say, not eating is not necessarily the best thing. So I had to work on the principle that it was possibly going to be bad. And if it was bad, that's weight on. And if it's weight on, a couple of pounds over the course of a week seems about right. Stepped on the scales. Scales were like, you weigh this much. And I said, okay, cool. Problem I've got is I don't know what I weighed last week. And that looks to be exactly the same as last week. So there we go. That's kind of that. I find where I write down my weight each week. And as I go to put it in, I go, huh. Well, that's interesting, because apparently I lost 2 pounds this week. I was like, interesting. Now, what I will say is this. The temperature has gone absolutely through the roof. As most people know, I'm guessing, it's easier to lose weight when it's warmer. You're less likely to want to eat excessively, and you're burning more. You're warmer, you sweat more. When you exercise, you sweat more. I have been absolutely pouring. Like the kind of, if you take your t-shirt off, you'd have to slap it on something, kind of pouring in the gym. And often on certain days, that's like twice a day that it's like that. So there's that. Instantly, you're in a better position, although it doesn't feel better at the time, because honestly, it feels freaking awful. I went in the gym this evening, and I just felt unable to do it. It's like, I don't think I can do this. And I certainly don't think I can continue doing this for the next 6 months, because apparently someone decided, hey, you know, when it's like really warm for like 3 months and you piss, moan and complain every minute of every day. Yeah, that's probably not enough, is it? Let's turn that bad boy up. So, start of May, hot as balls. And aren't we all better for it? Don't listen to the lizard overlords. This is not good. This is not how it's supposed to be. Oh, isn't it great? It's warm. No, it's horrible. It's actually horrible. It's uncomfortable. It feels terrible. Don't listen to the lizard overlords. Believe me. So, surprising weight loss. What are we going to do about that? Well, in the process of looking at what the scales were telling me, I had a realization today. I am a stone heavier than my lowest in the 10 years of doing all of this. That's not good. I was getting down there. I was within half a stone. And I felt good about that, but not good at the same time, because I couldn't break through that barrier. I couldn't break through that boundary. Been toying with a variety of different ideas recently. One of them is to go back to a previous eating method that I was using many moons ago now, 6-7 years ago now, which had great results up to a point. I had these amazing results and then literally completely ground to a halt. So obviously that's something to take into consideration. I've been doing a bit of research into fastings. Obviously, during the fast, you've got that whole thing to take into account. The biggest problem you've got with fasting is what you do when you come out the other side of it. Obviously, people have like amazing weight loss through fasting and then almost immediately put it back on. You can fast for 3 days, lose X amount of weight, and then within 12 hours put all that weight back on. So there's that to take into account. What is this telling me? Oh, I've stood up a lot today. Oh, yes, let's have 900 notifications, shall we? Sometimes. I tell you, zip zoom straight to the moon. Okay, so I finished the day. Wonderful. I mean, you guys know at this point in time, I tell you guys what's going on for some sort of accountability. It's clearly been working well. My weight is like a proverbial yo-yo. And a realisation came to me today that I honestly don't think I know what I'm actually doing. So that's been fun. As ever, I'll keep you updated. That's it for the week. It was a light week. I imagine somebody right now is like, whew, you padded that one, didn't you? Maybe. I watched something on TV. Not TV, obviously. Streaming. A streaming company who shall remain nameless. I'll just say this. The moment I see an advert pop up on that streaming service, I'm going to cancel my membership. I watched the roast of Tom Brady. Oh, jeez. I could do an entire podcast on the roast of Tom Brady, but I won't right now. I'll just give you the cliff notes. I'm not entirely sure everybody there knew exactly what the deal was. There was very much a division between sports personalities in the sense of half a dozen Patriots, Tom Brady, the famous, Tom Brady, Gronk, Julian Edelman, Bill Belichick turned up so far through, Drew Bledsoe, that sort of stuff. On the other side was a whole host of stand-up comedians, podcasters, because apparently, those things go hand in hand, who the people on the left side of the stage seemed to have no idea who they were. Which was interesting. Kevin Hart hosting. Honestly, in a 3-hour roast, it could have done to have been 2 hours long, and the stuff they could have cut out, most of it was Kevin Hart. I like Kevin Hart. I feel his star may no longer be on the rise. So something that has got to have stood out to somebody at some point in time, but to do a roast, to be a roastee, you have to have a reasonably good sense of humour. One thing that Tom Brady is notorious for is having no sense of humour. So it was going to be a train wreck from the start. And it was. The first person that came out to roast Tom Brady was informed by Tom Brady partway through to not do certain jokes. Congratulations, you have completely Gone against the whole principle of the reason that everybody in that room is there. Well done. Certain people turned up to quote-unquote roast Tom Brady and just apparently roasted everyone else that was there. A lot of it was just going over and over and over the stuff that had been before. It's like, this stand-up comedian came up and did a funny thing. Let's talk about it. We saw it. We were there. We witnessed it. Now then, let me say this. I haven't laughed like that in a while. It was funny. Something I feel we can all agree that we could have definitely done without was Ron Burgundy turning up. That was a laugh-free 10 minutes. It's things like that. There were certain parts of the roast that were just not needed, unnecessary, filler, etc. Some very good stuff. Weirdly, the Bill Belichick section was very good. Bert and Tom did a bit. A variety of things have been said on that evening, after that evening, around that time, that shed some light on, like I say, there were people in that room that certain people had no idea who they were. Bearing in mind, a couple of the people already mentioned went on to sell out that arena a couple of nights later and a couple of nights after that. Once we got to the end of the roast, they were like, right, it's time. It's time to hear from the man himself. Now, I will say this. By the end of Tom Brady's career, I actually respected him. I hated him for the majority of his career. I thought he was a smug, just so smug. Just, By the time he went to Tampa Bay and won a Super Bowl in Tampa Bay, I went, do you know something? Even I've got to say, yeah, he is the GOAT. There we go. That final season was a bit tough, and then he retired for the second time. And that was that. And I felt good about that. I was like, yeah, I can say, hey, I may not have been the biggest fan, but by the end I can agree you were the GOAT. Tom Brady came up to do his bit at the end of the roast. Having had the fakest smile plastered on his face for the majority of the time he was up there, you could see that it was just mostly uncomfortable for him. Like I say, notorious for not being able to take a joke, so, big thumbs up on that one. We get to the end, an opportunity for Tom Brady to go up, show his humanity, show that he's a good sport, show that he's humble, show that, this is a new era for him, out of sport and into the public eye. But obviously, to be Tom Brady, you've got to go that extra bit of distance, and what that means is you've got to be a massive prick. And you've got to go up there and just talk about how great you are, fuck everyone else, and just generally be the biggest dick that everybody knows that you are. And it's like, there were so many other ways you could have gone about doing this to come out of this better. In hindsight, looking back, it was funny. I enjoyed it. I laughed out loud. I had a great time. I had to watch it over about 5 nights because, like I say, it was 3 hours long. And at the end of it, I went, wow, what a massive letdown right at the end. Mostly how non-Patriot fans felt at every Super Bowl. I'm glad I watched it. I don't know how glad I am for certain aspects of watching it, but it's we've done now. Right, let's talk some computer games. I'm not sure if I've already mentioned this. In fact, let me go back, because I don't want to be, money for old rope and all that. No, interesting. Okay. So, last week I was talking about the difference between like the PC VR with the wire and the PC VR with the Airlink. Managed to get it a little bit more stable. Managed to get it to look a little bit better, and I've been happy with that. And it's been a jolly good time. I saw a video that talked about something, and I went, "Oh my word! There is a game that I am literally waiting on. It's one of 2 games this year that I'm actually looking forward to, and both of those games are VR. And I was like, I can play the early access stuff that's available. The game in question is Gunman Contracts. Gunman Contracts is a mod for Half-Life Alyx, but it basically turns it into a different game. Idea being is somebody went, hey, I can change this game, and I'm a big John Wick fan. Put the 2 together, and you've got a shooty bang bang game, which is basically go into a room and shoot everyone. Go into another room, shoot smart people. There is a standalone game coming. One of the levels that's been shown a lot is the staircase level, which has been taken directly from a certain film franchise. It all looks very good. It all looks very promising. It all looks super exciting. There's a lot of guns and a lot of gun modding involved. If you like that sort of stuff, big thumbs up. Very much looking forward to this. So, I watched a video tutorial for how to get it onto my machine. Fairly standard, fairly easy, maybe. Hey, let's give it a go. And I did. And it worked. Managed to get there are 2 levels. One is in like a bar that's got like upstairs areas and kitchen areas and stuff like that. Lots of fun. Eventually go down into the basement and it gets real sort of seedy. The other one is in a hotel, maybe. Basically like a high-rise building with a restaurant and lots of roof access kind of stuff. Honestly, I haven't had that much fun playing a game in some time. The fact that it's a mod, the fact that somebody's made it, the fact that it's just there, available for free, and those people have then gone on to make their own game is honestly mind-blowing. It's proper like, that's mental that somebody's just done that. Crazy. It looks great. It plays really well. It definitely needs a run, but I imagine stuff like that will be addressed in the actual game. But yeah, it's one of the 2 games I am very much looking forward to this year. I played it a few times, put it on a harder difficulty last night and couldn't do it. So I was a bit like, that's a shame. The other game that I've been playing through the VR and through the Airlink is Into the Radius, the PC version. I'm going to say this. The one thing that stands out the absolute most in that game, in the difference between the PC version and the Quest version, is the difficulty. It is hard on the PC, and hard in a lot of areas and a lot of ways. Things like the resource and the monetary side of things being more difficult. It's taking longer to unlock stuff and unlock like weapons and upgrades and stuff like that, which means that there's a lot more like going back out into the radius to collect more stuff, to get more money to come back, to get those weapons and upgrades and ammo and stuff like that. One thing I have to buy constantly is health injectors. I'm always needing them. Irony there is I've got about 6 healing artifacts, but I'm saving them for the last level because I work on the principle if the game's been as difficult as it has up to this point, presumably it's going to be really hard at the end. I have had a little... Like, I had the opportunity to put it on last night for half an hour or so, and chose not to because I felt half an hour probably wasn't enough time to dedicate to it. So I just played something else. It's good, but hard. And part of me wonders why. Like, there are certain enemies that are harder and harder to deal with, harder to kill, harder to fight against. The fact that in the quest version, every now and then you come across an armoured enemy, and you're like, oh, I have to deal with this guy, he's got armour. In the PC version, more like 80% of the enemies are armoured, and you're like, cool, armour-piercing bullets are really expensive. You know, it's that kind of thing. It does mean you have to, use your other weapons a lot more. I feel I lean towards the shotgun a lot more, but hey. What has been super nice is the Airlink aspect. Finding a way to make it really stable was awesome. Finding a way to not have to use the cable, awesome. Finding a way to make it look better more recently, awesome. Proper enjoying this experience. I can only imagine something's going to break at this point. Speaking of things that I've been enjoying, the Steam Deck. I told you I was playing the game Trepang. I was very much enjoying the game Trepang, or Trepang 2, as it may be called. Got so far, did a few levels, did a few missions, did some stuff, got so far, upgraded some guns, blah, 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 blah. Everyone's having a great time. Picked another mission, go out in the helicopter, get to the place I'm supposed to go, get there, and everybody's dead. Okay. That seems a little weird. Seems to be strange to have come all this way and people be dead. Yeah, people be dead because there's monsters. I didn't know there was monsters in this game. If I had have known there was monsters in this game, I don't know how much that would have changed my opinion of it. The fact that it's got 3-4 main levels into the game before revealing that there's monsters is interesting. But the monsters do scary things, like jump out on you. I'm not a massive fan of that sort of thing in computer games, in movies, or in life. And the realization that when the monsters jump out, it puts you back to the start of the section you're in. And I went, oh, really? And that made me sad. Because I've been enjoying this game up to this point, and I don't know if this is a one-off level, and I don't know if this is like a permanent thing, and I don't know why we're doing it. And I discovered reasonably early on, you just have to walk and take it slow and that sort of stuff, and you can bypass the monsters. You don't seem to fight them or whatever. And don't get me wrong, I fought a monster that was a boss. Some kind of genetic mutation monster thing, and I fought it, and that was fine. Shoot machine gun at monster. I can do that. Do a jump scare. Less interested, thanks. So, yes. Fortunately for me, a new game came out. Just appeared on the main screen of Steam, and I went, "Oh, what's this?" And I had a quick look and I went, "Oh no, that's not for me." But it was there on the main screen, and I looked at it and I was like, "Actually, let's have a look." Oh, okay. It's a game called V Rising, and the V stands for vampire. You're a vampire. All the vampires were wiped out. You get in a coffin and go to sleep. And now you've awoken and you have to do two things. Two objectives. One, be a badass vampire. Go around, kill other vampires, take their blood, get stronger. Fight humans, take their blood, survive. I'm like, okay. It's one of those, I think you'd refer to it as a top-down, but not top-down, like side top-down. That's not a thing. The other objective is you need to build a castle. And that's like a survival, resource-gathering kind of thing. Not usually my sort of thing. As I've said before, survival games not often my thing until I came across a survival game that was absolutely my thing. And I went, interesting. The more I looked at this game, the more I was like, this looks interesting to me. It's a version V1 version 1 version of the game. Apparently it's been an early access, but the early access version of the game has been very successful and has spoken about highly and said that it's supposed to have been very polished. Amazing that it was early access, so it's now gone to this version 1. If you bought it, you got money off until a certain point in time. I had a conversation with Leanne. I was like, look, it reminds me of Legacy of Kain, like original Legacy of Kain. And it also reminds me of that game you're playing at the moment that I keep taking the piss out of you for. I think we should get it. And she said, okay. But I downloaded it and I had a little go at it and I went, okay, interesting. Died a lot. Had to get used to some mechanics. Started building my castle. Played it a bit more. Got to the point I was like, this game is dangerous because A, it's absolutely a time vampire. You'll put it on for quote unquote half an hour. And 90 minutes later you're like, shit. 2, I played it last night instead of playing other stuff, which I realised even at the time was not the best of signs. And did that thing where I didn't leave my castle the entire time I was playing at one point and just spent all my time building parts of the castle. I was like, oh no, this is bad news. And I'm sitting now talking to you, telling you about this game, thinking I should hurry up and get this podcast finished so that I can get playing the game. So there. As with anything that is in progress, in process, I'll keep you updated if I continue with them. I'll even keep you updated if I don't. So, there's that. That's it for this one. I'll catch you next time. There you go. What do you think to that? Another one done. Another one gone. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Before you go, don't forget to click that like, share the podcast around, subscribe if you already haven't, check out the website, thecookiecast.com. There we've got social media buttons, links, and email buttons. That way you can get in touch with us. That is it for this one. Until next time, I'm going to say bye, and I'll see you then.
Thanks for listening. If you liked this episode of CookieCast, please like, share and subscribe.